All right, Ms. Finnerstead, thank you for taking this time to let me interview you for special education.
You're very welcome, Sean.
First off, what made you want to become a teacher?
I'm a fifth-generation teacher, and so it's some families breed doctors and lawyers, and mine breeds teachers. I also wanted to have a job where I could have basically summers off and be done around 3 or 4 o'clock most days so that I could raise my child.
Yep, I can relate to the family. My mom's a teacher and uncle a principal, so I know how that goes. Did you feel prepared going into your first year of teaching?
It's kind of like asking somebody if they were prepared to be married.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever prepared. Right. You can study and learn and observe and do all that you want to or can do. I feel that schools typically do as much as they can to prepare a student. I think that they should focus more on what the first year is going to be like, all those things that are so important to the survival of the first year teacher. So I had some experience beforehand and some life experience before I became a teacher, so that helped. A little wisdom of age. I couldn't have done it when I was 22.
Yeah, well,
scary.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'll let you know. On that note, what piece of advice would you give to first-year teachers?
Breathe, sleep, eat well and exercise, and take care of yourself and survive. Your first day in the class, you'll be wondering, how are you entrusted with all of these kids? And just know that somebody thought you were good enough to do it, and everybody has been where you've been, and that just don't do anything stupid or hurt a kid or yourself, and you'll be fine.
What was the first 5 years of teaching like for you personally?
They got better and better and better.
Yeah.
Every year gets better. First semester is harder than second semester. I think that's why they give us that summer break. Freshmen are terrible coming in from middle school, and they're very hard. But everybody is. Everybody's coming in from summer, and they're all kind of, but you get in the swing of it, and you just get better. And as long as you're dedicated to becoming a better teacher every year and thinking through what you do, you're going to be fine.
Awesome. Did you have a mentor? Did you have a role model from your past as far as teaching?
I had a lot, and I always think about who taught me what, or how did they deal with that situation. And I also had a lot of people that made me think, wow, I never want to be a teacher like that at all. But that's really important that I had that experience so that I knew not to be like that.
Yeah, I know how that goes. This interview, as I said, is for a special education course. And how would you describe students with special needs and how you work with them?
Well, the main thing is that you have to remember that just like every other teenager, all they want is to be accepted and to not be bored and to feel some success in their life. And I think a lot of people are very apprehensive about teaching special ed students, but you got to understand that they're different just like every one of your students, and you find what's special about them or what their interests are or how they communicate, and that's by trial and error and working with their aides, and just keep going.
How do you meet the needs of these students, would you say?
Well, you got to know about what their needs are,
Yeah.
and then you got to be really creative. You have to think about what is going to get through to this kid. How are they going to, as an art teacher, be able to manipulate media? Are they afraid of the media? Are they afraid to get their fingers dirty? Is it a part of their IEP plan to learn how to deal with tactile stuff? It's just very individualized, and some of them have aides, so you work with their aides. Just do the best you can.
So would you say you teach to them differently?
I teach to every single one of my students differently. It's like everybody says that if you have a lot of kids, you can't discipline and talk to each child the exact same way. It's the same way with the kids. And I think that's why first semester is always harder, because they don't know you, and you don't know them, and you don't know how they're going to be, and those basic classes for me, you've never seen these kids before, you don't know their personality, and so it's really hard to gauge them. But that's with special ed kids too. You know, you just gotta get to know each other.
Yeah. What characteristics would you say make up a great teacher?
Patience, humor, being honest with the kids and not tiptoeing around subjects, but really digging in there and talking to them about whatever it is that is the topic of the day. And that goes for the special ed kids too. And like my Asperger's kids, the biggest thing is to get them talking. So what do you talk about? You talk about pop culture, you talk about being a teenager, you talk about things that may be a little more off on the side than normal, but you figure out what it is that they like. They also like to be teased a little bit, and you know, how come you're here before I am, and you know, that kind of stuff. And then you have races to get in here during the morning. And
That's fun.
you just be real with kids.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah, definitely. How many students with special needs would you say you have on average annually?
As an art teacher, I tend to have a lot. It's very disconcerting when the counselors come to you and say, well, they can't have a math class. They wouldn't do any good in a math class, so we're going to stick them in your art class. That's not supportive, nor is it valuing me as a teacher or my class. And so when I hear of math teachers or English teachers or social studies teachers or any other teachers that think that art is easy, you are seriously wrong. I have at least typically 4 or 5 IEP students in each class. I typically have, let's see, 6 classes a semester, so that's 12. So I usually have around 60 to 80 IEP students a year.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that
And
much.
those aren't class within a class either. That's just art class.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say the most rewarding part of teaching these students with special needs is?
Figuring them out.
Yeah.
And having them figure it out too. And having a student that is not tactile learn how to hold a paintbrush and paint something, or have a student that is autistic and pretty low on the spectrum be able to write down his thoughts and then do a painting about it, and then being able to read his thoughts and where the mind of an autistic person, how they communicate what they're thinking. So cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. And just seeing kids accomplish stuff,
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah. Could you explain the process of how you find out a student has special needs and how you work with the individual and his support team after that?
Well, they have the IEP, and that gives you this general view of what the child is all about. If you are smart, you will attend the IEP meetings. Make it a point. You will learn about your kid, because sometimes that's the only way you're ever going to learn anything deeper about this student and help them. And if you're going to have them multiple times in your classes, do it.
Good advice.